Godzilla is now in New York City.
Monster 01 and 02, commence the attack.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back finally to another episode of Stomp This Way. We've been absent for a couple of weeks, and I apologize for that, being a bit hectic around here, getting Dylan moved out and off to his new adventure in north central Oklahoma. But we're back. We're back, and we're back to the Jurassic Park franchise. Andrew, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. How are you doing?
We're doing good. I'm doing good. We moved the podcasting room. We converted Dylan's old room into the podcasting room. Now, there's not a lot of furniture in here right now to absorb the sound, so it's a bit echoey. I hope that's not coming through the mics too poorly. I'm working on that. I bought a couple shelves to put together, which I haven't put together. They're still in their boxes over there from the Walmart. We tried to put up some posters a while ago. I didn't want to put nails in the wall, so I got those little like strips the sticky strips that you put on the wall and you can put the little hook on or whatever. And, we did what we were supposed to do. We cleaned the little spot off. We stuck them to the wall. We let them sit for a few hours. And then a while ago, before we got ready to record, I came in here to hang out the posters. And as soon as I tried to hang that poster up, immediately fell to the floor off the wall. So
probably user error.
Maybe. I don't think they were rated. I don't think they were heavy duty enough. I think we bought too small. I've always had trouble with those things. I've never got anything stuck to these walls. I've tried it several times before. So I think I'll just break down and put a nail in the wall and just hang the poster on that. A couple of holes in the wall never hurt anybody. We can always paint over it later. And then, like I said, put these shelves up. I did move my Funko Pop shelf in here, and it's standing over here in the corner, despite some damage from the cat. But it's cheap anyway. But I'm going to put those shelves up. I think I'm going to put my books, transfer those from that little thing in my room onto the shelf in here. And I probably will break out my old Godzilla figures that are sitting in storage somewhere and put those on one of those shelves. Maybe, I've got like a set of like glass shelves somewhere that are individual that you nail into the wall or whatever. I might break those out, and of course there'll be more holes in the wall, but put those up and hang some more figures on there. Just something to get in here to kind of absorb some sound, but anyway, that's all my personal problems. How about you? Just some quick housekeeping. In order to catch up, our goal is to do a double feature this week. So we're going to record The Lost World tonight. Hopefully record Jurassic Park 3 tomorrow night. That means a lot of recording for your old AA Ron. But since now he's spending a lot of time here by himself at night, I should have plenty of time. I should have plenty of time. And then hopefully we can do a double feature again. Ooh, excuse me. Next weekend, if you're not too busy. I know you've got a busy life.
Oh, you know it.
Yeah, not really. We did catch... kind of kaiju adjacent. We did catch How to Train Your Dragon this morning.
The live action
version. Yeah, I told Andrew when they inevitably do the live action remake of How to Train Your Dragon 2, we might put that on the schedule if we're still around, because there are always some giant dragons in there or something. And, I'll say the movie was fine. It was pretty much a beat by beat, recreation of the animated movie. I will say we went to the 10:30 a.m. showing, which is a thing they've started doing. And I was like, there's no way that these parents are going to get their kids up and ready for a movie by 10:30 in the morning. And I was mistaken. There was a lot of families there, mostly with very small children.
There was a few people that weren't there with children.
Okay, there might have been a handful, but I felt very out of place, and it was a little awkward, but it's okay. We were there to watch a movie with everybody else, but enjoyed ourselves, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, you want to get into The Lost World? Obviously,
Sure.
this is a movie that we've both seen several times, so Anyway, some production trivia. And oh, by the way, I also did read the book. I actually finished it right before on the Saturday, like before we were supposed to record this podcast, but then that was 2 weeks ago. So some of the finer details may have already escaped my feeble memory, but I'll let you know where it differs from the movie in major points, which is mostly. Pressured by fans and by the success of the first novel and film, Crichton hesitantly agreed to write a sequel. There was probably some financial incentive too. Like, hey, if you write this book and let us turn it into a screenplay, you'll get a good deal on it. Spielberg was also hesitant to come on. Obviously, Spielberg is notorious for kind of avoiding sequels. But at the time, he was also busy getting DreamWorks off the ground. But he did eventually decide to come on and direct. Joe Johnston, who has been a director, done a lot of movies in Hollywood, some good, some bad. He offered to direct the movie. I think he wanted to direct the first movie. He was on one of the studios who was bidding for its short list, but Spielberg decided to come on board, so he eventually would go on to direct the third film, which we'll talk about next week. Actually, tomorrow for the recording purposes, but next week for your purposes. Actually, no, I guess I'll publish that episode soon too, so maybe tomorrow. Who knows?
Maybe.
David Koepp, the writer, obviously got paid what was said to be the most paid to a writer at the time to adapt a screenplay, with a check that is said to be somewhere between $1.5 and $2 million.
Wow.
The film went through many drafts and rewrites right up until filming started, and in the end, it was only a loose adaptation of the novel, and I'll kind of talk about that here in a little bit. It was filmed from September to December of '96, shot mostly in California with a limited shoot in Hawaii. Spielberg has admitted that he became increasingly disenchanted with the movie as filming progressed. So the director wasn't even really into it. And maybe you can feel that. We'll talk about it.
As it goes on, he can feel it.
Box office. This movie had a $73 million budget. It had a $250 million marketing campaign. It received the widest opening ever for a film up to that date. It was the first U.S. film to be widely distributed in India.
Wow.
72.1 million opening weekend, 92.7 for the 4-day Memorial Day holiday weekend. It was the largest opening up to that point. Total U.S. gross of 229 million, total international gross of 390 million, total worldwide gross of about 620 million. It was the second highest grossing film of '97 behind Titanic, obviously. The home video release was accompanied by an additional $50 million marketing campaign, and Fox eventually purchased the broadcast rights for $80 million. Could you imagine paying $80 million for the broadcast rights to a movie?
I know, right?
Yeah. I don't think they really do that anymore because everyone just slaps it on their stream. I mean, they probably do pay money to slap them on their streaming services.
They pay somebody something.
But most of the time, like this movie was made by Universal and then bought by Fox to distribute on TV, which I don't know why Universal wouldn't just play it on NBC. But nowadays they don't do that because whatever movie your studio makes, you keep the rights to that movie and you slap it on your studio's streaming service. So for Universal, I don't know who is Universal got partnered for their Peacock. Universal would slap it on Peacock.
Yeah.
But anyway, you want to read some awards?
Sure.
Go for it.
What? It was nominated for many awards, including both Academy and Golden Raspberry.
They're raspberries.
Raspberries. Academy nominated for Best Visual Effects.
Of course.
And the Golden Raspberries, Worst Remake or Sequel.
Yeah.
Worst Reckless Disregard for Human Life and Public Safety.
Public property.
Property. And probably safety.
And safety.
And Worst screenplay.
Yep. Yep. Well, it is funny though that you get nominated for both an Academy and Golden Raspberries. I think it doesn't happen very often. I don't think. I do think Suicide Squad also did that back in the day.
Which Suicide Squad?
The first one, the really bad one. I think it won the Oscar for best costuming or something that year. Which
Wow.
was crazy that movie won any Oscars, but you know, it is what it is.
Did it win any raspberries?
I think it won some raspberries too. Anyway, let's listen to a trailer and then we'll come back and we will list off the cast and crew and the plot summary that I wrote. I tried to keep it short and
It's shorter
and sweeter.
Shorter than most. It's only 3 paragraphs.
Only 3 short paragraphs. Anyway, here's the trailer and we'll see you on the other side.
Mommy! Daddy! I found something!
A British family on a yacht cruise stumbled upon Site B.
Now it's only a matter of time before this lost world is found and pillaged.
Hopefully we've kept this island quarantined and contained, but I'm in shock about all this. Ooh, that's how it always starts. But then later there's running and then screaming.
The hell was that?
Go. As fast as you can.
I need you to send rescue immediately.
Taking dinosaurs off this island is the worst idea in history of bad ideas.
Let's get this movable feast underway. Don't move!
What is it?
Mommy's very angry.
Back again. Anyway, Andrew.
Anyway.
Would you like to read off the cast and crew?
I guess I could read off the cast and crew.
Be super kind of you.
What? It was directed by Steven Spielberg himself.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Oh, yeah. And written by David Koepp. Kep. Man, that's a weird way to spell that. But David Kep.
Mm-hmm.
Music by none other than John Williams himself.
Of course.
And starring Jeff Goldblum, Julian Moore, and Pete
Postlethwaite.
I
guess.
I guess that's his name. That's a last name right there.
Yeah.
And Arliss Howard.
Arliss Howard. I guess I put that right. I think that's the daughter, probably. And also Vince Vaughn, who wasn't in the top 4 listed on Wikipedia, but he plays a pretty big role in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how early in his career, pretty early in his career, I think. But anyway. Yeah. Plot summary. You ready for it?
Oh, you know it.
John Hammond recruits Ian Malcolm and his girlfriend, Sarah Harding, to go to Isla Sorna, an island dubbed Site B, where InGen bred the dinosaurs they used for their park. Also coming along is equipment man Eddie and photographer Van Owen. Malcolm's daughter Kelly has also snuck aboard. Time is of the essence, as Hammond's nephew, who has taken control of InGen, is also on his way to the island. InGen's plan is to capture dinosaurs and take them back to San Diego to make a dino zoo on the mainland. On the island, Malcolm's team sabotages InGen's efforts, but things go sideways when Van Owen and Harding take an injured T-Rex infant back to their trailer. The parents come looking for it, pushing the trailer over a cliff, killing Eddie, with the other expedition members barely making it out alive. Malcolm's team and the engine people make an uneasy alliance to get off the island, but the group is picked off first by the T-Rexes and then by the Velociraptors. Van Owen is able to call for help from an abandoned engine facility, and a helicopter takes the survivors to safety. The troubles aren't over, however, as Engine was able to drug and capture the male T-Rex. They take it back to San Diego, where it promptly escapes and goes on a rampage. Malcolm and Harding take the baby from Engine and use it to lure the adult back to the cargo bay of the ship it came in on and trap it there. The adult and adolescent Tyrannosaurus are returned to the island, and Hammond gives a speech to CNN about letting the dinosaurs roam without human interference. As credits roll.
Oh, yeah.
More or less?
More or
More or
less.
less the plot? Yeah, so listen, I said I wrote the book. Crichton, after the first movie came out, was...
You read the book?
Is that what I said?
You said you wrote the book.
Oh, I wrote... No, I didn't write the book. I read the book. Crichton, as you know, I kind of alluded to, after the success of the first movie, you know, of course, the studio was immediately looking to make a sequel, and I think Crichton was just kind of like, you know, the studio will pay me to write a book that they can turn into a screenplay. So he wrote a book that vaguely resembles this movie. The book is basically the things that the book and the movie have in common is it is about Site B, Isla Sorna. It does have Ian Malcolm as sort of the main character, one of the main characters. And the two like definite details they brought over were the scene with the trailers being pushed over the cliff, and then the high hide was one of a big part of the book. The rest of it is very different. The team that they take to the island is very different. All the stuff about Engine and John Hammond's nephew is invented for this movie. The book's villains were actually Dodson, who was the guy that worked for the rival company in the first movie that hired Nedry. He was the main villain again for the second book, and him and a small team of people went and tried to steal some dinosaur eggs or whatever. The characters that are in the movie that are in the book obviously are Ian Malcolm and Sarah Harding, and Eddie is in the book. In the movie, he's kind of a combination of two different characters from the book, one named Eddie and one named Thorne, who was like their equipment specialist. Mm-hmm. Van Owen, Vince Vaughn's character, is an invention for this movie. Kelly, the daughter, there were two kids in the novel because for whatever reason, Crichton thinks that these Jurassic Park books always need two kids along for the adventure. Kelly is kind of a merger of the two kids. In the novel, there was a little a black boy and a white girl, and unrelated to Malcolm, not his kids, who snuck along for the ride. And in this movie, they've kind of merged it into one character, into Kelly, who is also Malcolm's daughter.
Yeah.
Which both the book and the movie have a lot of retconning. Like the book, like I think I said this last episode, in the first book, we were told that Malcolm died from his injuries at the end. Well, Malcolm, I think, was Crichton's favorite character because it was the character he most related with. It was the character that he used to kind of espouse his viewpoints on science and science run amok and the faultiness of modern science and all that. So if he was going to write a sequel, obviously he would want to write it from the vantage point, or at least partially from the vantage point of Ian Malcolm. So he kind of just like retconned Malcolm back to life and just said, oh, the reports were false that I was dead or whatever. This movie does the same thing. There is a clear, exchange in the first movie between Malcolm and what was Laura Dern's character about like, or maybe he was talking to Alan Grant where he's like, do you have any kids? And he's like, nope, no kids, and just 3 ex-wives or whatever. Well, they're going to retcon this in this movie to where he does have a teenage daughter.
Yeah. She's not a teenage. She's preteen.
You think she's preteen? I think she's probably 13 or 14, don't you?
I think she was probably like 12.
Okay. Well, somewhere around that age. And old enough to where she'd have definitely been born during the events of that first movie.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
This is set 4 years after the first movie, by the way, which was, 4 years after. It also came out 4 years after the first movie. Anyway, yeah, so a lot of invented characters for this movie and a lot of characters cut out that were from the book. But as we get started here, this first scene in this movie is actually going to be borrowed from the opening scene of the first book, where the family and the little girl gets attacked by the compies and all that. That's actually the opening scene of the first book. But I think it's pretty effective. You know, you have these rich people going to this island, and you know, they're rich, so they kind of deserve whatever.
Yeah.
But the little girl, she's a sweet little girl, and she runs off and she gets bit by she meets the compies, and at first they're kind of friendly, and then they kind of swarm her and attack her, and we get the scene, the greatest smash cut maybe in the history of cinema, where the parents run up and the mom like starts screaming her head off, and then like smash cut to Jeff Goldblum with this like wry smile on his face,
Yawning.
Yawning with this like tropical like poster in the subway station behind him. Yeah, so you know, we're gonna get kind of this scene where Malcolm is going to visit John Hammond, and you know, they got, even though John Hammond died at the end of that first book, he lived obviously in the movie. They got Richard Attenborough to do basically a cameo appearance in this movie.
Yeah.
He's going to be here to basically tell Ian, you know, like there's a Site B, which again feels like heavy retconning, because we saw like their breeding facility in the Jurassic Park movie, but he's like, oh, we actually didn't breed the dinosaurs on the Park Island. We have a whole separate island for that. And again, it felt very kind of, you know, retconny in the book too. And he's gonna send Malcolm and this team of 3 other people. And he knew Malcolm was gonna decline him, so he actually hired Sarah Harding, who is Malcolm's girlfriend, to go ahead of him so that he would go chasing after her.
She went ahead of him on her own accord.
On her own accord, yeah. Sarah and Ian in the book are also kind of in a on-again, off-again relationship. You know, I mean, not much different from what it's portrayed, I guess, here in this movie. But anyway, we're also going to meet Eddie, who is, you know, like the equipment guy putting together like these expedition vehicles and stuff. And then we're also going to meet Kelly, who is his daughter. You know, I think in early drafts of the script, she was going to be a stepdaughter,
which would have made a lot more sense.
Which made a lot more sense because of the difference in skin color.
And you know, him saying whatever he did in the first movie.
In the first movie, yeah. But I think Kep just decided like he didn't want to complicate it too much, so they just simplified it and made it his daughter. There's even a joke later in the movie about where Eddie like says something like, "Do you see the family resemblance?" No. Anyway, and then we also meet, I think his name's Van Owen, Vince Vaughn's character.
Yeah.
He's like a radical like environmentalist / photographer guy.
Yeah.
Eco-terrorist kind of guy, I guess. But anyway, so, you know, this movie knows that you already know that what dinosaurs are. And, you know, whereas the first movie kind of played coy a little bit with the dinosaurs because, you know, they wanted it to be like a big awe moment. This movie obviously has compies in full view in the opening scene. Then we're going to get to the island about 20 minutes into the movie. Which one thing I do like better about this movie than the book is it's much faster paced than the book. The book was over 400 pages. Ooh. And yet somehow simultaneously didn't feel like Crichton was that invested in it, which I don't think he was. I think it was kind of a cash grab move by him, but he still wrote over 400 pages. It takes, at least for the main group of people, because the book is really about, there's this guy called, I think his name is Richard Levine or something, and he's like this hotshot paleontologist or something, and he's like, there's a whole lot of like desperately searching for this rumored Site B, and then Levine finally finds it and goes by himself, and then it's about Ian Malcolm kind of chasing him to the island instead of Sarah. The movie cuts right at the chase. They immediately tell you up front in dialogue, hey, there's a Site B we're going to, and then we cut out the Richard Levine character and instead have him chasing Sarah to the island.
Yeah,
it takes like over 100 pages for like Ian Malcolm and the main group of people to get to the island in the second book, and then it's like past page 200 before like stuff really hits the fan. There's a whole lot of, in that middle 100 pages from page 100 to 200, of them like studying the behavior of dinosaurs and theories on the behavior of dinosaurs and blah, 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 blah.
All that.
And in this movie, you know, we're going to get there, and pretty much they're immediately followed by the, well, first we have this scene with the stegosauruses where Harding tries to go pet the baby stegosaurus, and they promptly, like, the adults promptly attack and almost club her with their tails.
Yeah.
And Ian, of course, is freaking out. He wants everyone to just get off the island for good reason. He had a bad experience with the first island. And his daughter actually snuck aboard the RV. And so she's there too. And, you know, all that. But they're almost immediately followed by the engine people. So John Hammond's nephew, we learned in that first scene with John Hammond, is taking over the board of directors for Engine. And they are going to go to the island and capture dinosaurs and take them back to
the mainland,
to San Diego, to make a dinosaur zoo on the mainland, which, you know, makes a lot of sense. I mean, you know,
dinosaurs.
And I will say, I mean, like, John Hammond's nephew himself, I don't think is a very good villain. He's just kind of flat. I do like the guy, like the hunter guy that's like leading his expedition.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he's kind of a morally gray character. Like, obviously, we're supposed to kind of think of him as a bad guy because he's, you know, helping Engine and he's out to hunt a T-Rex like a trophy hunter.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also a lot more level-headed and about the whole thing than John Hammond's nephew is. But yeah, I mean, the movie is, I think, for this first act is fine. I like Jeff Goldblum just as an actor. I think, you know, he's playing the same character he always plays. And I think he delivers plenty of one-liners in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't love the characters in this movie for the most part. Like, you know, like in that first movie, I was really invested in Alan Grant and his relationship with the kids and everything. And I liked John Hammond and his kind of evolution over the movie. And then, you know, they had some great character actors like Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, he may not have had a big character arc or anything.
And, you know, even the kids were not that bad.
And the kids weren't that bad either. I mean, in their dynamic with Alan was pretty sweet. And Laura Dern, I mean, it's like the one movie I can tolerate Laura Dern in. And the guy playing Nedry was just so over the top sleazy. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
This movie, I don't know. You know, you got Julianne Moore again. I'm not, kind of like Laura Dern, I'm not a fan of Julianne Moore. First of all, I always confuse her with Susan Sarandon for some reason. Just the redhead or something. And I mean, she doesn't play in a lot of movies that I've watched. I think she plays in a lot of romance movies and stuff like that. I'm just not a big fan of hers. I remember watching her. Remember that movie? I don't know if you've watched it, where I don't remember what it was called, where like aliens kidnapped all the Earth's kids and then tried to make all the parents forget about them. But she was like the one woman that remembered she had a child or whatever. And so she was chasing after what happened to her kid.
What movie were you watching?
I know. I don't know. I've seen her in a couple movies and I've just never been a fan of Julianne Moore. And I'm not really a fan of her here. She's pretty flat to me. Vince Vaughn is, I mean, he's fine.
He's there.
He's there. I mean, he's a likable guy, I guess. Like I said, I think honestly my favorite character is probably the trophy hunter guy of all of them.
You mean you don't love Jeff Goldblum?
I mean, like I said, I like Jeff Goldblum. I think he delivers a lot of energy and one-liners. I don't know if he has some strong character arc in this movie. I mean, he starts out like not liking the dinosaurs and thinking they should leave him alone, and then the movie ends with them returning to the dinosaurs to the island and leaving them alone. So I don't know.
He becomes
a better father, I guess.
A better family man?
I guess.
He betters his relationship with Sarah, kind of.
I guess. I mean, I don't know what their relationship was like when they get back to the mainland. He takes his daughter and puts her in mortal danger and leaves her struck in a tree for most of it.
He didn't take her. See, went on a wheel.
Yeah. Well, see, she says that he told her because he said, "Don't listen to me," and she take that as like a message to sneak aboard the expedition.
Follow.
But no, I mean, the movie's fine, and we'll talk about the effects and stuff. But there's plenty of dinosaur sequences, and it's really about the 1 hour mark where we're gonna get, the first movie. I think around the same time mark had its big highlight moment where the Tyrannosaur broke out of the paddock. It had his big scene, which was the highlight of this movie. Again, they're going to kind of try to redo that, and it's taken from the book. they're gonna try to recreate that in this movie with this scene with the trailers where you had the scene where Engine's group is running around like capturing all the dinosaurs, and they make you feel bad because they're like lassoing the dinosaurs and using cattle prods on them and stuff, and darting them and stuff. Although I'm sitting there thinking like there's got to be an easier way to catch these dinosaurs than to like get them all riled up and charging their herds and then driving your jeeps through them and lassoing them. But what do I know? There's some fun stuff because you get to see a variety of dinosaurs and them trying to capture them and stuff. But after they've captured them and they're like doing this like remote like presentation to the board or whatever, and they've got all these dinosaurs in cages, and then Vince Vaughn uses his eco-terrorist background. Him and Sarah Harding go and like
unlock all
the cages and everything, and then the Triceratops like barges through the
tent,
the board meeting, the tent, and like it goes all to chaos. Well, while that was going on, the trophy hunter guy and his partner like went and broke the leg of the baby T-Rex to try to lure in the
mom,
the parents,
the dad,
and then they have to go back to camp obviously to deal with the situation. And then when they leave, Vince Vaughn like gets the baby T-Rex, and him and Sarah like bring it back to the trailer. And this is about an hour, just short of an hour into the movie. Ian and Eddie and Kelly go hide in the hide, and then they see the T-Rex is coming, and then Ian goes back down. So you have Ian, Ben Owen, and Sarah in the trailer with this baby dinosaur. Now in the book, it was just Ian and Sarah in the trailer with this baby dinosaur when it all goes down. But it largely plays out the same. The parents come for their baby, and Sarah like gives it back to them. But then they immediately go to pushing the trailer off the cliff.
Yep.
I mean, listen, I don't think it is near as intense as or nearly as well done as or maybe it's just because it's just kind of a repeat. It doesn't feel as effective as the T-Rex scene in the first movie. Like I'm not completely on the edge of my seat, and maybe because there's not children in danger was a big part of the success of that screen.
Poor Eddie. Poor Eddie.
Eddie, yeah. So like the T-Rex, they push the trailer over the cliff. Which one thing is like I wish we had like more exterior shots during that sequence of like how the T-Rex is like actually physically pushing that trailer off the cliff. But maybe that would have been too expensive to film. But they do a pretty good job of this trailer sequence, I think. Of making it pretty tense. And then Eddie, he comes to try to save him. And, the second trailer is dangling off the cliff, and they're all like hanging on for dear life. And
he like ties some cords.
He like ties a rope around a tree and throws it down. And then he like the trailer is going over. So he like gets the wrench on the front of his Jeep and like hooks it to the thing and is trying to pull it backwards. And then the T-Rexes come back and basically like play tug of war with his body and break it in half. Pretty violent for a PG-13 movie. Now, obviously, if this was rated R, you would see like his entrails fall out and all that. But
of course, this is at the dead night, so you don't see anything.
Yeah, it's dark and it's raining, so it kind of masks the worst of the violence. But it's pretty violent. It's pretty good. But the three characters in the trailer are able to grab a hold of the rope as the trailer falls around them.
Yeah,
I was like, they're super lucky that trailer something on that trailer didn't hit them as it was going down and take it down with them.
Luckily, that door stayed open.
Yeah, that was pretty lucky, but it is what it is. So that's kind of like about the midpoint of the movie. That's the big scene in the middle of the movie, and like I said, I mean, it's the highlight of the movie. I think we'll talk about the San Diego romp here at the end, but it's effective. I don't think it would have been in the top 2 or 3 scenes from the first movie.
No.
But it was pretty effective. And then at this point, them and the Engine group kind of merge and make an uneasy alliance because they're both kind of stranded there because their little eco-terrorist act that destroyed all their communications equipment and their trailer fell over the cliff. So they go with the Engine group. They decided that there's the old abandoned like lab or whatever that's on the
research station.
Yeah, the research station on the island has got to have a radio, so they're gonna make their way there. The only problem is it's in the interior of the island where all the carnivores are at, and in Velociraptor territory.
Mm-hmm.
So
They had to go straight through the Velocity territory.
yeah. So we're gonna get them, marching for a little while, and then they're gonna take a rest, and then the T-Rex tracks them down, and we get the scene where like it puts its head in the tent, and then one of the guys goes to screaming, and so then they all run, and they're all, getting trampled by the T-Rex or whatever, and then again another scene borrowed from the first book where the T-Rex like sticks its head through the waterfall, and they're all hiding behind it. And the one guy panics because he gets a snake down his shirt and runs out and gets eaten.
Yeah.
But then Ian comes back, and then they run through the high grass where, of course, the Velociraptors are going to pick off most of them. And, one thing I do notice with this movie is like in that first movie, I mean, you had a decent sized cast, a cast big enough for some body count, but also small enough so that you got time to kind of get to know the characters, and at least you could, you recognized everybody that was part of the cast, and so you felt something when each individual person died. This movie has a lot of nameless, faceless engine employees who are just there to just die. So it's not quite as effective. Another scene that was kind of borrowed from the first book is when that one like jerk engine employee like goes off to use the bathroom and then gets killed by the compies. Very similar to how John Hammond actually died at the end of the first book when he got killed by the compies. Anyway, so killed by the Velociraptor now. So then Vince Vaughn goes off ahead of everybody else to try to get to the radio, and then when Ian and Sarah Harding and Kelly follow, they of course get attacked by Velociraptors, and you have the whole scene in the old abandoned facilities with them running from Velociraptors, and then we get maybe the worst scene in all of Jurassic Park franchise. I mean, right there with the Alan scene in the next movie, where there is a dropped line earlier in the movie where she got kicked off the gymnastics team at school, and she's to save her dad. She's gonna. There's a little bar there, like just like like the uneven bars or whatever. The gymnastics do their things on. And she's going to do her little flippy flip kick to knock a Velociraptor out a window and fall on a spike or something. And it's just like, oh,
oof.
Spielberg. What was that? I mean, the whole concept of it is kind of stupid. The most offensive thing is the idea that she got enough power behind that kick to launch that Velociraptor out of that window like that.
Window.
It's like, I don't know about that, but whatever. That felt like it was straight out of a kid's movie about dinosaurs. But anyway, so, they get away from the Velociraptors and they get to Vince Vaughn. It's called in a helicopter. And, it feels like it's kind of the end of the movie. And then we have this like coda in San Diego where, obviously Spielberg was a fan of the original Godzilla movie. And this is also an homage to the movie that this got its namesake from, the 1925 Lost World, where the Bronchiosaur or whatever
marched to the
marched through New York or wherever or London, I guess.
London.
We got to have the Godzilla scene where the T-Rex tramples through San Diego. So, we kind of have, and I told Andrew, one scene that's always kind of bothered me in this movie is when they kind of take a page out of the novel Dracula's book, where the cargo ship hauling the T-Rex is coming in and they can't get a hold of it. And then it comes, it like comes in and just crashes through the dock
harbor.
Or whatever, the harbor. And because they darted, I guess I should have said earlier, they earlier in the movie, the trophy hunting guy was able to dart one of the T-Rexes and put it to sleep. And then engine came in and flew it off to put it in their park, and they brought the baby too. And then they asked the trophy hunting guy, he's like, "Do you want to? There's a job at the park if you want it." He's like, "No, I think I've been around death enough," and just like walks off all cool like into the moonlight. Anyway, so the ship crashes. The logistics of this ship scene has always bothered me, because when we get on the ship, and you, I think, made it clear to me, like, because I was like, he's still in the cargo bay. How did he kill everybody? But you're like, and you're right. He was in the cage and he broke out. And then I guess he ate everybody. And then we're supposed to think that that guy, the arm, I think it's a detached arm holding the control for the cargo bay, locked him in the cargo bay. But I'm like, first of all, how did he get into the wheelhouse and eat everybody in the wheelhouse without just like tearing that thing to shreds? It looks pretty intact when they walk in there, except for the disembodied people around. And how did he eat the guy that locked him in the cargo bay?
He probably had him in his mouth when he closed the door on the T-Rex.
Do we need a Last Voyage of the Demeter style movie that's just this 2 hours of this on this boat where the T-Rex breaks out and goes on a rampage? Is that what we need to explain this? No, we don't need that. Please, Hollywood. No. Don't do that. I'm giving them bad ideas.
They will do it.
They'll do it in a heartbeat. Anyway, so they find the ship. It's desolate except for the T-Rex that gets out and, of course, goes on.
The security guard goes over and opens the cargo hold.
Yeah, which is a big mistake. And they all go running, and the T-Rex, he gets off and then he roars at the city skyline, and then he goes to the residential neighborhoods, and Michael Bay stole this scene for Transformers, where he's drinking out of the pool in the backyard, and then he eats the dog, and the kid's like, "Mom, Dad, there's a dinosaur in our backyard," and they go and scream or whatever. Then it's going through the neighborhood, and I think it's pretty fun. I mean, I don't know if it's entirely original or we've seen this in 1,000 kaiju movies, usually on a bigger scale, but where it goes through. He's eating people, he's ramming into buses, he's doing all the kaiju movie things.
Cars going crazy, crashing into everything.
Yeah, people. There's even a close up of when one of the crowds is running of like Asian people, like obviously doing like the Japanese people running from Godzilla thing. Clever Spielberg. And then Sarah and Ian are gonna get into a car, and in a scene that Roland Emmerich straight rips off for his Godzilla movie, they're gonna steal the baby and then have the T-Rex chase Ian's red convertible, and they run, and they got the baby, and the T-Rex is chasing them, and they get it back to the ship and get it down in the cargo hold, and then John's nephew, Hammond's nephew, is like follows them. He's into the cargo bay to try to get the baby T-Rex back, and then of course the parent shows up and basically like teaches the baby how to kill a human, practicing on Hammond's nephew.
Yeah.
And then Sarah Harding is able to dart the dinosaur before the police shoot it and kill it and trap it in the cargo bay, and then they ship it back to the island, and we see it streamed on CNN. And then John Hammond gives like this little interview in the movie about leaving the dinosaurs to their natural habitat or something, and we get this closing shot of like all the dinosaurs on Isla Sorna, even though I'm like, those stegosaurs would not be so casually just marching by a Tyrannosaurus like that.
You never know. You never know.
Maybe they did. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think any other prey would be doing that.
Well, they're in a big herd, and they are pretty,
pretty vicious.
Pretty vicious.
I mean, it's probably just like lions and like buffalo. Like lions won't attack. They won't just charge into a herd of buffalo. They try to isolate a weak link.
Yeah.
I doubt Tyrannosaurus tried to like take on a whole adult herd of stegosaurs, and I don't even know. I don't even think they're from the same time period, honestly. But whatever.
You
get the point. But anyway, yeah, and that's the end of the movie. I mean, listen, like I said, the movie's fine. I mean, listen, it's a Spielberg movie, so it's gonna have a high floor. But I do think this is pretty close to Spielberg's floor. Yeah. I mean, like we said earlier, Spielberg himself said that he just kind of got disinterested in the movie as it went along. He just didn't feel like it was going very well. And he notoriously hates sequels because he's like, on a sequel, he feels like he gets too confident because he's like, well, I've already nailed it once. I can nail it again. And then he just ends up not putting in as much effort, and it goes sideways.
Because why do it again when you perfected it?
You already did it great the first time. Why come back and do it again, Hollywood? But yeah, I mean, like, I don't. The characters are not as interesting. There was a lot of magic in that first film.
Yeah.
Just seeing the dinosaurs come to life, brought to life, and all that. And I just feel like they're just kind of going through the motions a lot in this movie. Now, there's still plenty of dinosaur scenes, and they're effective enough, and just enough violence for a PG-13 movie, and all of that. And like I said, I like Jeff Goldblum's one-liners and all that, but there's a lot of just like, okay, like I get it. There's dinosaurs eating people, and I don't really care about any of the other supporting characters. I'm not invested in whether they live or die. There's some really stupid stuff like the gymnastics kick. It's just like, okay, whatever. And then you got to kind of do the perfunctory like kaiju movie ending with the T-Rex stomping, which is fine. And like I said, it's a functional scene. I don't feel too strongly about it one way or the other, but yeah, I definitely thought Spielberg kind of brought his C game with this movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed. he just wasn't interested enough in this movie to give it at all.
Yeah, and in the book, basically, the book plays out. They do go back to like the old abandoned facilities or whatever, and then there's some stuff with like some camouflage dinosaurs, and then they like try to track a helicopter down, but it flies off without seeing them, and then they have to like get in their jeeps and like run around and run away from some velociraptors, and then eventually they figure out as the velociraptors are tearing into this building that they're in that there's a crawl space underneath that leads to a boat, and they get off on a boat or whatever, and there's no San Diego march through the
marching to the mainland.
No. One thing I do think that Spielberg did better, Spielberg and Koepp did better in the movie. One thing that really bothered me about the book is that Ian Malcolm comes back, but then just like in the first movie, the second half of that, or in the first book, I should say, in the second half of that first book, Ian Malcolm got injured and was basically a non-factor. He just sat in a bed and espoused Crichton's viewpoints on science in a drugged up state. Mm-hmm. Again, in the second movie, I mean, from the start of the second, the book, I said movie, but the book, from the start of the second book, he still has a lingering leg injury. Like he walks on a cane and all this, but he gets injured again in that trailer scene, and then is basically a non-factor. Like the book can't decide who his main character is. Like at first you're like, is it going to be this Richard Levine character? He seems to be dominating a lot of the early part of the book. And then you're like, oh, well, it's Ian Malcolm. Obviously he's the returning character. And then Sarah Harding, who for like a large part of the middle of the book is forgotten about, but then she comes in and kind of like this movie, she's like the kick butt character that does all the action and stuff. Mm-hmm. She kind of takes over as the main character in the last third of the book. And it's just like, there's no real strong central character. Not that there's a really super strong central character in the first book, but you can tell like Alan Grant is like, kind of the focal point character, and then, everybody else. But I liked all the characters in that book.
Don't worry. Alan Grant is coming back for the next one.
Oh, yeah. He'll be in the next movie we review. And so that was a part of the book. Now, I do think they do a better job. Ian Malcolm is clearly the main character in this movie, and Sarah Harding is a strong co-female lead, even if I don't really care for her character or Julianne Moore that much. But anyway, yeah. That's how it kind of plays out there. Anyway, you want to do some creature design?
Sure.
Well, we have many of the same creatures we talked about last time. We have
T-Rexes.
We have Compies are the first one we see. Cute little green lizard creatures.
I feel like there's a lot more dinosaurs of each species in this movie.
There are a lot of herds in this movie.
A lot of herds.
Yeah, where we saw a lot of individuals in that first movie. We see, I don't know if we saw them in the first movie, like that kind of like the ones with like the horns on their heads.
Oh,
that they kind of lasso.
Not the horns, but like the
like
thick.
Well, there's the one with that rams the car, yes, with like
the thick skull.
With the thick skull, like the dome skull that rams the car. There's that. That's pretty neat. And then it kind of reminds me of like those mountain sheep that like ram their heads together.
Yeah.
The ones with like the big horn, the curved horn on their head that they're chasing.
Oh yeah, that one.
They're pretty neat looking. stegosaurs, and I think we saw. Did we see a stegosaur in the last movie?
We
I
did
can't
not
remember.
see a stegosaur. We
They
saw
got the big plates on the back and stuff.
We saw the other ones. The
Triceratops.
Triceratops.
We see a Triceratops in this movie when it attacks the camp.
We T-Rex.
We see obviously the T-Rexes are the bigger one, are the big attractions in this movie. Look very similar to the ones in the first movie. I think they may have like maybe darker skin, more stripes or something, but
yeah.
very similar. There's a male and a female this time, and then there's the baby.
The baby.
The little baby looks like a little baby dinosaur.
You know,
Kind of has like softer features, like rounder features to make it look less menacing and stuff.
We have raptors for a short period. Of time.
Raptors, they don't play as big a part in this movie as the last movie, obviously.
No.
But they are a big part of the third act. And again, very similar to the way they looked in that first movie, maybe a little more colorful.
Yeah.
We see some pterodactyls or pteranodons or whatever they are at the end of the movie flying around. Yeah, look like pteranodons.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think all the creature design is good. I mean, is it totally accurate to real dinosaurs? Probably not. But
Is it as good as the first one? No, probably not.
I mean, I don't know if it was any worse. Now, I do think the first movie had, like, I don't know, like a better set of creatures. Like, you know.
And, I
like,
think they had better, props and everything.
Yeah, we'll talk about effects here in a second. I did like in the first movie, they also had like the venom spitting monster that was really cool. That I don't know if they had a small creature that matched how cool that was in this movie. But yeah, let's get into effects. I still think the effects are really good. Now,
yeah.
I don't think there's a lot more animatronics. I don't know if they're always as good as in that first movie. There are a couple of scenes with the animatronics where it feels like very
I think
robot toy kind
the
of.
animatronics in the first one were way better than the ones in this one.
It depends. I still think the T-Rex animatronics are really good. But yeah, sometimes the compies looked a little stiff when it wasn't CGI.
That the Triceratops, the sick Triceratops animatronic looked way better than the ones in this.
Yeah, they all get the way it breathed and all of that. Yeah, it looked very lifelike.
They looked way better than any of the animatronics in this one.
Yeah. There were times where I thought the animatronics looked a little stiff, but for the most part, I think it works. I'm glad they stuck to at least some
animatronics.
Animatronics and practical effects. And then the CGI, again, I'd say the same about the CGI as I did about the first movie. I think largely it holds up.
It holds up pretty well.
There are moments where it looks like the Stegosaurs at the beginning, especially in the sunlight, were a little bit iffy. Some of the stuff with them like running around lassoing the dinosaurs. The worst effect scene in this movie by a long shot is when the trailer goes over the cliff. Like when when it like finally, when they've got a hold of the rope in the middle and it like finally falls and they're like falling through the two trailers.
Yeah.
And then when it hits the ground and like blows up and like the tires and everything are flying back up.
That looks pretty bad.
That looked pretty bad. That was the only time I was like, oh, that really looked bad. That didn't look good. And there's some green screen effects a couple of times that I'm like, that didn't look too great. But for the most part,
it looked passable.
I think the CGI and the animatronics hold up pretty well. I mean, I think for 97, it deserved a nomination for Best Visual Effects.
Yeah.
And then score. Now, listen, I'm never going to say anything truly bad about John Williams. Much like Spielberg brought his C game to this movie, I kind of feel like John Williams brought, I don't know if I'll say his C game, but brought his B game to this movie.
He recycled a lot.
Well, he actually, I was going to say, I would have preferred it if he just like really pumped in the original music. He actually avoids using the original theme. I mean, he'll bring in notes here or there, but he largely avoids it until the end of the movie. But the score he has for this movie is
not very
pretty basic, pretty dull. Like
I think he just like mixes some of the other themes together sometimes.
Yeah, it's just not that big, grand, epic. Like in that for the first movie, I mean, the whole score is great, but there's like two different like pieces of music, like the Journey to the Island music and the Welcome to Jurassic Park music that really stick out as like really like two pillars of his career. And this one, there's not really that like individual grand piece of music that you remember from this movie. And it just kind of, it's functional.
It's just basic basic music.
It's functional. It just kind of gets you through the movie. Which, I mean, even B game John Williams is better than most people's A game.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of get you through it.
You can just be like, here's the score, and it's pretty passable. It's passable.
Yeah. Anyway, you want to do some final thoughts?
Sure.
Why don't you go for it?
As I said, the effects I don't think are the animatronics and the effects are not as good as the first one. Still pretty good. They deserve, a nomination, but I think some of the stuff in the first one were better made than in this one. And, I think they had a lot more passion behind the first one.
Yeah.
Than this one.
Yeah.
But like in the score, it's just more generic John Williams, which is better than most other people's generic.
Yeah.
And the acting it's there. It's all right. It's passable. It gets you through the movie without you being too bored. It's not as good as the first, and the central characters they're not your favorite people, but they're not the worst characters you could ask for.
Yeah.
And they did have a lot more characters that you did not know and did not care about.
Yeah.
Like all the engine people.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know who that guy who just died was, but he died.
And you're like, oh, well, that guy's
especially in the
dead.
Velociraptor scene, just like a lot of nameless, faceless. Like, how many people are there out here?
You just like how you just hear screaming for forever, and you're like, how many people are out there? And then I think it's a decent Jurassic Park movie. It's better than like you said, the later Jurassic World movies have been.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll do a podcast, and I haven't revisited those last two since theaters, but I just feel like sitting right here today, I would still proclaim this as better than those last two Jurassic World movies.
The first one's pretty good.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, but I like that first Jurassic World movie.
I think I'll give this movie, I'll give it a C+.
A C+? Yeah, listen, I think you nailed it when you said, like, there's just not as much passion behind this project. There wasn't as much passion, I felt like, with Crichton when he was writing the novel. I don't think Spielberg and Koepp were as passionate about getting this project brought to life. I felt like a lot of people were just kind of going through the motions because they knew there was a big paycheck waiting for them if they got it done from the studio. And they didn't. This movie made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Second highest grossing movie of 97. And it's not a bad movie. I mean, again, it's a Spielberg movie, so it's got a pretty high floor. But I do think this is one of his low points of his career in terms of quality, if not definitely not monetarily, but and also in comparison to a lot of the other crap that we review for this podcast.
Yeah.
But there's still plenty of creature scenes, and I think they're pulled off pretty well for the most part. Like I said, I like Ian Malcolm. In this movie, Jeff Goldblum is Ian Malcolm, but I don't really care about most of the characters. I think, a lot of the magic of just like seeing dinosaurs brought to the big screen is kind of missing in this movie. And I feel like there's just a lot of going through the motions of like, oh, this is a dinosaur movie, so we've got to do this scene or whatever, and it's a little long, I think, at 2 hours and 10 minutes or whatever.
Cut a few minutes off here.
I think you could shave. Honestly, you could shave the whole San Diego. Even though I don't think it's a terrible sequence, but it just kind of feels tacked on, the San Diego sequence.
Yeah, because it feels like
the movie's ending. Like kind of,
they're getting off the
island. They get off the island. They survive the raptors, and then no, we gotta do this whole sequence in San Diego. But
with the T-Rex.
Yeah. So, honestly, you could have just left that whole scene on they spent a lot of money, so they were never going to leave it on the cutting room floor. But, yeah, so, but the movie's fine. That's what I say. I'm with you. I think it's kind of a C+ movie, especially from Spielberg, but, it is what it is. But anyway. Let's see what we got. Some news. You want to talk about a little bit of news?
A little bit of news. What news do we got today?
Well, I think this came out since the last time we recorded a podcast, because I guess it was probably about 3.5 weeks since we were 3 weeks, whatever, since we recorded a podcast last. Shin Godzilla is getting a 4K theatrical re-release here in the States, debuting August 14th. I hope one of our local theaters gets it. Although I have my doubts, they haven't been getting as many. DeMalco hasn't been showing as many kind of special event movies as they were in the past. But if not, we might drive to Tulsa or Oklahoma City to see it. August 14th, Shin Godzilla. G-Fest released its full schedule of events today, so we're going in about a month's time.
Yeah,
A little less than a month's time. We need to kind of go through the schedule and figure out what we want to do, because there's plenty of events to attend and we're not going to be able to do them all.
That's what you think.
That's what you think. Well, I mean, a lot of them are overlapping, so you physically can't attending them all. But
You walked into that one for a few minutes, go to the other.
Go to the next one. Huh? So anyway, if you're going to G-Fest, that's out there. Actor Matthew Modine was cast in Godzilla and Kong 3 Supernova. Off the top of my head, the thing that I most know him from is he played Papa, like the head scientist in Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
He was cast, and he's been posting all kinds of Space Godzilla stuff on his Instagram. So kind of reinforcing the idea that
Space
Godzilla might be the bad guy in this upcoming movie. But
or he might be trying to misdirect.
or maybe it's a misdirect. Maybe he was told by the studio he needed to do some misdirection stuff.
Misdirection stuff.
Because did Matthew Modine really watch Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla and have any idea what he's talking about? I mean, maybe. I don't know. But,
you
or maybe
never
the
know.
studio made him watch it and he's like, oh my God, this is the greatest cheesy thing I've ever seen.
Space Godzilla.
Anyway, but yeah, I think that's all the news. I mean, I feel like there was a bunch that happened, but I can't remember what it was. But so anyway, other than that, obviously, the new Jurassic World movie is gearing up to come out the weekend of July 4th, right? After July 4th, whatever it is. And so we'll be going to see that, hopefully opening weekend. We do plan, like I said, we're going to do a double feature this weekend. So if all goes as planned, we will be recording an episode on Jurassic Park 3 tomorrow night. And hopefully I'll get both of these recorded or edited. There may be some less stringent editing on these, so I apologize for any blemishes. But we will...
we'll get through it.
I'm going to try to get both of these out sometime this upcoming week. And then again, next weekend, because we got to catch up, hopefully we'll do another double feature. That will be Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And, you're a double feature. But,
Jurassic World.
I like Jurassic World. I shouldn't say that. And hopefully I'll get those out the following weekend, both of them edited and out. So a lot of work for Ole Aaron in terms of the editing and the watching movies and recording. But you only have to do 2 of those things. So
yeah, 2 of them is better than not doing 2 of them.
That's true. That is true. But anyway, other than that, I think that's it. I think that's all we got for you this week, right? So don't forget, Jurassic Park 3 coming soon to a podcast hosting site near you. And then next weekend we'll do the first 2 Jurassic World movies. But other than that, you can always contact us at stomp.thisway1954@gmail.com.
And you can always find our website at www.stompthisway.wordpress.com.
And that's right. And we're also at Facebook at Stomp This Way. So as always, I'm Aaron.
I'm Andrew.
And we will catch you next time.